Good day, good Saturday to everybody. It's been a while, and we have taken a short hiatus. Our friend and my co pilot here, David, has been on a pilgrimage to that holy city of Destin, Florida.
And then Tampa.
And Tampa, Africa, and beyond.
To infinity and beyond.
Yeah.
Which, if you've ever driven Florida, it seems like infinity to get where you're going.
You know, it might help if I turn your mic on.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, to infinity and beyond.
Yeah. You know, it's, I love northern Florida, northwest Florida there, the Panhandle.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there several times. My son, when he was going through flight school, Pensacola Naval Air Base. That's and that's where the Blue Angels are.
Yeah.
And so anyway, but I just have nothing but good memories. And then we went to Destin once. It was just too crowded for me. At least the part we went to, it was like the beaches, the partying. It was just.
This would have been 15 years ago.
Yeah, at least 15 years.
Well, now it's sprawled. They got beach, unending beach, and it's powdered sugar sand.
Oh no, I know. Same as Pensacola. I mean, that whole Gulf Coast is like that. And but it's so funny because in Pensacola Island, which is just you take the long bridge over.
Yep.
And there were about 3 high-rise hotels, but that whole area was just. I mean, we were like one of 10 people on the beach, and it was just wonderful, you know. And then now in Destin, they have the Air Force has their own private beach that the military can all use.
Yeah, on the barrier island there.
Right.
And you know, I'm driving through about 3 miles that the scenic highway jumps over to the barrier island where you're going around this Destin Gulf. It's I'm sorry to my Native American, tribal, probably Seminole territory, or might have been Choctaw in that part, but this big long name of a deal. And you jump over there for about 3 miles, and you got white sand dunes and no development. Like, why isn't this being developed? Oh, it's federal property.
But so you had to show your ID, military ID, to get into this beach area. But it wasn't as nice as the public beaches in Pensacola. And like I said, my only memory of the Destin beach was it was just packed. I mean, packed with people. And we were. What's interesting, there was a condo right there above the beach, on the beach, but it was like the second floor, and it was for sale. And my son-in-law and I were contemplating should we buy this because it was just. But I'm really glad I didn't because it was just too many people for me. And what we really wanted was to get one over in Pensacola.
Yeah, you would have found the last couple of weeks because I ended up staying there about 11 days between that and Tampa, a little jot down for a few days. But my brother Paul has a condo. 3rd floor, there's the beach, then this little kind of a beachside drive, and then he's like right there. So I'm able to look out on it. And the funny thing, he says, "Hey Dave, the guy lives right below me, 2nd floor. He's actually a home builder from Tulsa." So I met him and that Destin just is really it's a growing town.
Oh yeah, I mean it's what everybody always talks about, going to Destin, Destin, Destin the destination, And, and the only thing is, my wife, I'm driving down, we go out for pizza and we're coming back, and she's just sitting there, looking at it. And I said, "Look, honey, all those girls have 4 cheeks." It's spring break, and you just have to, if this is your time of prayer and fasting, don't go to Destin because it's hard to shut out the things that you don't want to be concentrating on. So I was like, "Watch the road." Was my orders. And it gets a little bit carnal. my best memory, and I may have talked about this before, in Pensacola, Island. There we have a big condo we rented as a family. I mean, this is crazy. It was $2,100 for a week, and it was 5 bedrooms.
Wow.
Yeah, and we had like 15 people there, and so including kids. And so, but when it got down to it for the week, I think it cost us $300 per couple.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, back super cheap. But anyway, I'm sure it's not that anymore. But anyway, my best memory, me being the patriarch of the family, of course, I got the sweet.
Oh, yeah.
No, it was right on top floor and it had a balcony, And so anyway,
so it's kind of a beach house.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so one morning, I opened the door and I walk out. I'm on the balcony, and I hear this, and I look over, and here's a blue angel. Blue angel, and he must have I don't know if I told this before, but he must have noticed me freaking out because as a child, there was a TV. The Blue Angels had their own TV show.
Yeah.
Every week, it was a new episode of the Blue Angels, and so my earliest childhood vocational choice was to be not just a pilot, but a Blue Angel. So anyway, I'm standing out here and I'm looking down, and here comes this F-18 just zipping down the hill. And he must have known that I was a fan. If that was God. But anyway, just as he got about 100 yards, he flips to the side.
Yeah.
And he's only 100 feet above the water. I mean, he's just right over, and he flips to the side.
Yeah.
And then he sees me, and I throw this salute out there, I'm freaking out. And all of a sudden, he flips it, he gets in front of me, and just as he goes past, he flips it and goes straight up. Just, and it was like my own private air show, the Blue Angels. And he goes straight up and disappeared. I mean, he must have gone 30, 40,000 feet, and then just took off. But I wonder why he was by himself and not, because they all do, that's where they practice out there. And, but he was by himself out there. And
no, I've got my wife's cousin, and then one of his friends from Air Force Academy who married our flower girl at her wedding. They both were in the Air Force Thunderbirds. And they all had to practice the whole, we would call it a kata in martial arts, right? The whole step, the maneuver. They do it by themselves first. And you got to get all the steps down, the rhythm, the timing, and everything before they let you go anywhere close to another of their planes.
So maybe he did the whole thing and flips up in practice before an audience of one. Because I was the only, it was like 7 a.m. It was nobody out there. My whole family was eating breakfast.
Right.
And I don't eat breakfast a lot of times. And so maybe that's what he was doing. But anyway, it was just one of the highlights of my life, just seeing that Blue Angel, because when I was a kid, I so badly wanted to be a Blue Angel. Yeah. And I've always, I was always more partial to the Air Force. But I will have to say, I think the Blue Angels are just a little notch above the Thunderbirds. I've seen the video on all of them.
Despite, family history in Air Force, the Navy pilots do it all, and they land on a boat.
Yeah.
And take off from a boat.
That is the other thing, yeah.
That's just something that, and as much as, Jim Bridenstine became a very political person, right? But you have to admire, this is a guy who took off and landed regularly on a ship. Yep. And it's
it's not that easy. It's not what you see. It's landing on land, because that carrier is going up, and you've got to time it just right so it goes down when you're landing. Yeah, it's just something else.
I mean, and you land, and the tail hook grabs you,
right?
And all you can do to keep from crapping your pants. Because the G-forces are so, I'm sorry, I'm getting really.
Hey, we better move on. So,
we've got a lot going today.
We do. I want to start locally. A story here came out just the other day. A local Tulsa pastor from a famous church in town Craig Hagan is his name, and some you just never know. I mean, this story. The thing to me about it is you would never associate this with a pastor of one of the largest churches in the country. Okay, with as big a church and with as much of a reputation and everything. However, here's the story. A Tulsa pastor and his wife are facing animal cruelty charges after authorities say dozens of animals were removed in South Tulsa, and it's because of inhumane conditions. Now I've seen them from pictures of West Tulsa, way north Tulsa, where the Humane Society has to go in, or basically dog catchers. But anyway, they go in and they remove all of these animals from a house. But in this case, not only did they find 25 dogs and cats that were removed, they found a dead cat. There was urine smell and feces all over the house, and I'm thinking, how in the world did this happen? I was trying to look beyond the actual story. How do you, as the son of a well-known, world-renowned pastor, and obviously affluent church, and you have a role as a pastor in that church, how do you allow yourself to get to that point? It just kind of stuns me, and I feel bad. I mean, I'm not one of these that wants to see, I told you. No, my thing is, how does that happen? How did you get to the point where this happens?
Yeah. I've known Craig. I'm not a close friend of his at all, but I knew him when he was a OSU college student. He worked at the Student Life Center weekends there at Rhema while I was a student at Rhema. Um, and, friendly guy. Well, he's a good friend of our mutual friend, David Ambrose. So they're very good friends. I think this story is more about his wife as we find out the details. And sadly, it may not be a fun thing for them to go through, but his wife ran the rescue
Yeah, right.
thing.
Oklahoma Rough Refuge is the name of it.
Yeah. And she's quite a bit younger than Craig. Craig would only be 2-3 years younger than me. So he's in his 60s. And based on, they were married in 06. Now, Craig went through a pretty scandalous divorce. And it was ultimately removed from the pastoral staff, but worked in administrative roles back about 20 years ago. And now evidently is back on the pastoral staff. But of course, he had kids by his first marriage with Missy, a pretty prominent real estate agent. And Blake, one of his sons, did get sentenced to prison for drive-by shooting. That's what a lot of people remember him by. And I don't know, it just harkens to me. How do you raise your kids to walk straight? Because I listened to Craig's dad many times talk about his hardship with his dad's traveling evangelistic ministry. He was never there. And so Craig's dad was determined. This was the days of James Dobson, focus on the family, make your kids a priority and everything. And Kenneth Wayne Hagan, or Ken Jr., as people call him, hugely prioritized time with his son Craig. They only had 2 kids, a son and a daughter. And so Craig and Denise, their parents spent a lot of time. And I think when I look at Ken Jr. and his discipline, his military service, everything, in walking straight, in a marriage that's lasted nearly 75 years now, and Well, I say 75, probably close to 70. You know, in some ways, I think by priorities, our kids have gotten softer. I think a lot of us who are empty nesters and kind of see what does or doesn't happen with our own kids, we question, maybe the hardship toughens you, makes you a better person. I don't know. But anyway, so, Craig, I think in this case, um, I think he's letting his wife run this rescue mission thing.
And she's running it out of their house.
Oh yeah, and I don't think they lived in a little bungalow either to have a place like that.
In fact, here's what's really weird. When they came, they were getting this strong urine smell in the house, but they saw nothing. It was upstairs. They had all of these animals upstairs in their home, the second floor, which is even crazier. So, yeah, and I'm gonna move from there to another story, which is as bad or worse. And that, you remember the Duggars?
Yes.
Okay.
I got to meet and know seven.
Okay. Well, the one son has now been charged again with molestation. Him and his wife with molestation of like 9-year-old and
is this the oldest son, Josh?
I don't recall. I just know it was the Duggar family.
Okay.
And probably because I think it's the one that was in the problems before.
That was Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just shows that these families, it's purely the grace of God, and you have to stay on it
in Florida
continually. You just have to continually raise your children, okay, and pray, 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 pray. I mean, honestly, that's the only way. I had one who was a renegade son, and God got a hold of him finally. You have to have faith too that it will happen, but you have to recognize the problem first. You have to use tough love at times, and you just have to pray through it and walk through it with them, and purely by the grace of God, you'll come through it. But you have to have faith, trust God, but don't go lax or try to protect them because of the family reputation. So that's all I can say. But this is disturbing and it's sad. It's really sad because others will seize on this. Unbelievers will seize on this and try to make it a condemnation of Christianity in general.
Yeah, I just got the details on it. March 18th, he was arrested in Florida. He happened to be down there when I was there.
Well, I think he was extradited there because there was an Arkansas.
The charges happened in Arkansas.
Right, but then they extradited him to Florida because it was.
Oh, okay, I got that. I got that flipped, and because Bay County Sheriff's Office, and it had to do with their 14-year-old daughter.
Oh, that's the 14-year-old daughter.
Kendra, his wife.
Okay.
In him, and
I thought when I read it, it said something about a 9-year-old, but okay.
Well, yeah, she was 9 at the time of the alleged incident. Oh, okay. That's a good point, though, because you're dealing now with prepubescent.
Right. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference, but yeah.
It gives you some kind of sense. A sociologist would say there just is a clear distinction there. Right. But it's interesting. Everybody admired Josh back in 2012. We worked on the Santorum campaign together. He would come over here to Tulsa for things. He literally at Grace Fellowship, we had a deal there, and somebody from Occupy Wall Street was disruptive service. All by himself. He walks in the row behind him, reaches up, grabs him, and drags him out single-handedly. Well, we had Secret Service, we had Highway Patrol, we had Sheriff's Department, we had Police Department, all there watching this. And everybody's like, who was that? Was that secret? I said, no, that was Josh Duggar.
Yeah.
One of the night, and then I went up. I said, Josh, how'd you learn to do that? He said, I'm a volunteer fireman for the Town Fire Department. Yeah. But he ended up, remember, Focus on the Family started this kind of a think tank in Washington, Family Research Council, I think it was. I think it was that. Anyway, he was named as the next leader of that when his own sexual charges involving a stripper came about. And
Yeah, they apparently what's interesting. It says he and his wife, I think, were
yeah,
involved in this latest case. So.
She's charged with endangerment. And yeah, so but the incident occurred in 2020, family vacation, Panama City Beach, just down the road from Destin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, let's anyway, I don't want to get into the details. To be honest with you, now the child's father. Okay, so I don't think it wasn't their child.
Huh.
You know, the interesting thing about this, and my longtime friend Don Rubottom gave me some background on it. He explained, he says, they're part of a group called the Christian Patriarchs. And Don Rubottom said, I had to move to Florida to get away from them.
And now they're in Florida.
Yeah, Don, you know.
Well, it's not just a stick. Yeah. So what did he tell you? What did he tell you?
Well, anyway, Don Rubottom refers to this religious group as a cult. And I remember Don during that time when he was so deep in it, part of it is you don't do anything to prevent or stop having babies. Don had like 8 kids at the time. You know, and you know, the Duggars thing. I mean, when Josh Duggar was going through all this, it was Jim Bob who negotiated. Here's how this is. No, Kendra, you're not divorcing him over the stripper. No, you're not. You know, but he had the money, the wealth from the TV show and everything. Whatever. But you can't discount the religious brainwashing, persecution, you know, the whole excommunication, the shunning, all of those things. I don't know. You know, I'm trying to sort through all this, but Josh clearly seems to be a very troubled person. When I look at, and I don't want to get into the details of what's alleged to happen, but it could be clearly misunderstood. A little girl was on his lap, and he's repositioning her, and the child's father said he grazed her genitals over clothing. Well, okay, was that intentional?
Was it intentional? Was it not? Yeah.
And why is it 6 years later?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out as well.
You know, and as one attorney once said about somebody getting charged, he said, who did he make mad?
Yeah.
That this was retribution. You know.
Right. And would a 14-year-old be able to remember 5 years ago what actually happened, or was it put into her mind? Do you remember? We're going to take a little sidebar here. Do you remember the child molestation cases against this preschool or daycare? And I think it was in Midland, Texas, or Midland or Odessa, somewhere out there. Anyway, and 60 Minutes did this whole story on this thing and just drug these people through the mud. And I mean, I don't know how this came up, but the kids were saying that every day they were taking them and flying them somewhere. Do you remember this? They said, yeah, the story was that the leaders of this daycare were taking the children and flying them either to Mexico or somewhere else and molesting them. And 60 Minutes actually ran with this thing, and it just demolished this thing ruin these people's lives, and then they find out it was all fabrication. It never happened. The place is right on the streets. They have big picture windows and everything like this, and this stuff just never happened. But somehow, some aggressive prosecutor, and then of course they got the media involved, and essentially ruined these people's lives, shut the place down, and destroyed these people, and it ended up being a total.
I have to correct myself.
Oh.
I just did something terrible. I've read a bad source. It wasn't Josh Duggar in this. It was his younger brother Joseph.
Oh, it's a different Duggar.
Yeah.
Oh.
Josh, I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. Yeah, it was, and Joe is just, a little bit younger than Josh. And, yeah, it's sad, it was Joseph Duggar and his wife, Kendra.
Right.
So.
But if the charges are based on what you said, 5 years ago. 5 or 6 years ago, and it was a case where he just happens to be repositioning the child, and all of a sudden that's become molestation. If that's all they have, if that's it, to me that's a little thin. That's a little out there, and they're being persecuted in a sense because of who they are.
Yeah. That could be, and again.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm just saying, if that is all they've got, and that's what happened, and they're charging it, I don't know, it's just weird to me. It's just a little bit extreme.
How is, in repositioning someone, brushing up against their groin, how in the world is that in any way gratifying to anybody's prurient desires? I mean, it just seems to me more plausible that this was not a malicious intention.
No, and my question is, how did this even come out here 5 years later?
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that the father, because apparently this is his stepdaughter?
No.
Okay.
They were with other people. It was some other child. It was some other child. And again, they won't even mention the child.
So it's not one of his daughters. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and.
Well, then I wonder, why do you, now I'm questioning, why do you have somebody else's child on your lap? A 9-year-old.
Hey, some kids just love playing it. I mean, happens all the time. You got grandkids. Maybe they don't want to climb all over you or anything, but.
I don't have any 9-year-olds wanting to climb all over me.
Well,
I've just switched sides.
He's 31. You're what, 71?
Right.
Okay. So there's a big difference.
Well,
there.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't make a difference. Once you hit 18.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, right. For my kids, it was their Uncle Dan, who's the fun uncle, who would play with them, play catch. They would want to wrestle him, and he would let them win all the time. Right. But, it's worse.
Dave, I'm picturing 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds climbing over Uncle Dave.
That's a good point.
Not a 9-year-old.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
Right.
It's because of our legislature's stupidity recently, Eddie. It's even worse what we're allowing to happen. And I'm not the statute of limitations on criminal charges. There is a limit, right? Unlike murder, where there is no limit on it.
It must be a long one though, because if they were bringing out Bill Cosby in the early 2000s about something that happened in the 70s.
Eddie, why did he get off? Because that was a violation of his constitutional rights because of statute of limitations.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I thought they had fabricated some.
The prosecutor should be in prison for as long as Bill had to serve unconstitutionally. Okay? Now, that's not to say I think Bill Cosby was a wonderful, great, example in his behavior, because there's a lot of things come out that I think aren't substantiated about it. But here's the problem, Eddie. You've been a volunteer with kids pretty much all your life.
Mm-hmm.
What Kevin McDougal and Carol Bush did back when they were freshmen, they pushed through a bill that's kind of Nathan on, but nobody dared vote against it. It raised the civil statute of limitations for molestation all the way up until the child turns 45, I think. Really? You know what that does, Eddie? That I called it the Gloria Allred bill.
Yeah.
Because it sets up attorneys to go after financially comfortable, senile people.
Yeah.
And they'll make up some story, and you can get some bleeding heart jurists to do it. Eddie, do you remember what you were doing March 18th, 1975?
No.
Well, somebody says you did something. Prove you didn't.
Well, look at the case of Donald Trump being accused of raping a woman that he says he doesn't even know, never saw anybody, and she can't even remember the incident, the date it happened, or anything like that. Now that's over the top.
But this is what happens when in civil cases, that's where they sue you for damages. Mm-hmm. They raise that statute of limitations to like half a century.
Yeah, that was dumb. It was.
And that's Carol Bush and Kevin McDougal doing that. Now, you try being the legislature who runs a repealer bill on that. They're going to tar and feather you that you're protecting rapists.
Well, yeah, it's probably something worth targeting. I mean, here's the deal. If you're going to do that, the bar to cross to bring charges and to get a conviction should be raised equally.
Well, again, I'm talking about civil courts.
No, I don't care what it is. There's still a bar that has to be crossed that others don't. And sadly, our judicial system is so screwed up now in people's minds with these commercials. You know, if you've been barked at by a dog, if you've been honked at by a driver, call us. We can get you money. I mean, that's where we are.
The Gloria Allred.
Exactly. And that's the problem that we're facing. What should happen is they should raise the bar of false accusations as high as or as low as the bar they are making for accused statutory rape.
Yeah, and the problem we have with our courts is judges will disallow any and all evidence or testimony that alleges a malicious intention in bringing those allegations.
The other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are many times, and this isn't by law. This is judge.
Because then you're basically dissing the victim. They're protecting the victim.
You're destroying. They'll say you're destroying the reputation of a victim. A victim. We haven't established that she's a victim.
Yeah.
See, it's that circular logic.
No, I agree with you. There needs to be the punishment, and it needs to be within a certain amount of time.
Eddie, I think you need to extend to a child who may have been properly
abused.
Not properly, but legitimately abused. Mm-hmm. That regardless if it happened when they're 5 or 6, when they are an adult, they should have a right to seek justice and a remedy. When they're 18.
Right.
And let's say you give them 2 years to do it. Okay, that's when they're 20.
That's a normal statute of limitation.
Right. Carol Bush and Kevin McDougal did a carve out for molestation that raised it another 30 years. Mm. See, and I remember talking to several lawmakers. You think I'm going to vote against this on the floor? You're nuts. It'll be the death of me politically.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's sad.
Yeah.
That this is what we become. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think it's legitimate to question. Again, with Joseph Duggar, do we have any evidence of a pattern here? Because one thing they'll say about child molesters, they tend to be repeat. You look into it and there's a history.
Right. But I think, wasn't his wife charged as well? Wasn't it both of them, as I recall, I think? So what would her charge be? I mean, see, it just troubles me greatly, Dave, how our legal system has been so co-opted by corrupt attorneys.
Yeah.
Okay. The corrupt attorneys are as bad as the corrupt criminals, okay, violators of the law. And so it has gotten to the point where it's a thin line. You can't tell what's true and what's fake.
Mm-hmm.
If this has happened to you, call 1-800 blah, blah, blah. If this has happened, blah, blah, blah. And there are people who have legitimate cases, legitimate causes that are being overlooked, and it's all based on how deep the pockets are.
Yeah.
And this is a troubling thing. You go to the stock market. There's this one particular stock. Okay, I won't mention the name or anything, but they were supposed to secure some funding, and they had the funding secured. Well, the people that committed the funding backed out of committing the funding.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I mean, it's a page or more than one page listing of law firms that are coming in now to sue that company for fraud, saying they defrauded their investors because they didn't have this funding secured to make this happen. Well, they apparently had it. They had a verbal agreement, and I think they actually had a written agreement, and then the other company backed out. Well, you should be suing the people that are backing out versus the company that thought it had the funding. But no, because this is easy pickings over here. And so now it's all these class action lawsuits, but there are 10, 15 different law firms wanting to jump into this to get, and you know what will happen? You know what happens? If you're an investor, you'll probably get $5 to $50. The law firms are getting millions because they get 40%, 50% of the verdict.
Yeah.
And then they split the rest among thousands of people filing this class action. I mean, our legal system is just sad. It's corrupt, and not just corrupt from bad guys. The people you think are the good guys are just as corrupt. I remember Rush Limbaugh. He was a big fan of Alexis de Tocqueville. You know de Tocqueville.
Sure.
It's a French philosopher, and he visited America, and then he wrote about how our government was, and he essentially said that our system, our legal system and philosophy of freedom is going to turn around and be our death in the end. That's de Tocqueville basically said that as soon, and this is the really important one, as soon as legislatures can find out that they can legislate financial gain from their legislation and start doing that, it's the end. And that's what I see going on right now.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's sad.
I want to finish up the Duggar thing.
Yeah,
I think we're about done, but there's something I got to say.
Okay.
Certain things I happen to know that not many people would. I was at the Southern Republican Leadership Conference in May of 2015. It was the day I met with Jeb Bush. Don Rubottom again organized that. Rick Santorum was there. Now, I had run his campaign. Our friend Chris Medlock.
Yeah, can you get to the things?
And but this is important. So he was going to meet with Santorum. Then all of a sudden it got canceled. Santorum left and everything. Here's what happened. Mike Huckabee announced he was going to run. The Duggar family then told Santorum, even though we were very high profile in supporting you, we're supporting Mike Huckabee. Then within hours, the allegations against Josh surfaced about something that wasn't criminal charging, something from Josh's childhood, his junior high years. And it shamed and exposed, and it basically neutered any positive political effect that the Duggar family would have. It just kind of wiped them out.
Yeah, I remember.
And there's a lot of people who think it was Santorum's handlers that decided to expose that. The timing is just too coincidental. And Santorum gets on a plane and leaves. And I just know that because Medlock missed his appointment to visit him. And that's the kind of dirty politics that happen here. That if I can't exploit you, then I'm going to destroy you for anybody else. I don't know that that happened. There's a lot of people who think it's too suspicious. So my greater point is this. All of the things we're hearing about Josh Duggar, Joe Duggar, whatever Duggar, if they hadn't been, reality TV stars, would any of this have ever surfaced?
Right. And if they weren't
You're off, by the way, turn your mic
Oh, I'm
on.
sorry. And if they weren't such prominent, politically active people supporting the right side, and by that I don't mean the correct side, just the right versus the left, you probably wouldn't hear about it either. And again, this is the thing that just drives me nuts, that conservatives, Republicans are their own worst enemies. That there's all kinds of stuff going on within the Democratic Party, but you never hear people. You do not have people within the party, within the circle, pointing out certain illegal activity or any kind of shameful activity in the party. The Republicans are their worst enemy, their own worst enemy, and they're continually coming up and attacking each other and exposing this and this and this. And it just drives me nuts.
But Eddie, the difference is, and Democrats will do it too, but the media isn't motivated to jump on it. Whereas if a Republican goes after another Republican, the media loves it.
No, it's true, but you don't. Now, I think if it's big enough, the media will get on it, especially if it's not the chosen one. You know what I'm saying? In other words, if you've got, let's say, two Democrats running, and one has scandal in his background or foreground, but the media has chosen this is the guy that has the best chance, then it'll never come out. It'll never be, and then I honestly believe you have people, handlers and official handlers and not so official, that will actually go to the other campaign and say, we want you to step back, step down, don't say anything.
Right. Now, in this case with the Duggars, they were a cultural force.
Right.
And that's why the media needed to destroy them, is because, again, politics is downstream from culture. And that's why Charlie Kirk made it all about culture. We've got to impact culture. We've got to impact culture.
Yeah, it's so funny that you have Bill Clinton, who has philanderer written all over him.
Yeah.
Before he got into office and in office.
Yeah.
Okay, the blue dress, I will just say. Oh, there's nothing to see here. Move along. There's nothing to see here. Trump comes along, and all of a sudden, his past divorces or who he went out with here and here and here, all of a sudden it's a major thing. Same again, back to Bill Cosby. The reason I say I believe Bill Cosby probably does have some sexual misconduct in his background. I'm not saying that's an act, but so did Robert Culp, so did Robert Vaughn, so did any of your 60s, late 60s, early 70s stars. The difference was that they needed to destroy Bill Cosby at a particular time because he spoke out at the NAACP about the real issues in the Black community.
Black culture. It's all about culture.
And well, but also politically. See,
Yeah.
he was doing damage in that end.
Sure.
So, but I remember watching this documentary, and they were having Robert Culp and Robert Vaughn, who were in I Spy and The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Okay, now I picture you
Okay.
talking about. You were over my head.
They were called the New Brat Pack.
Okay.
Oh, Rat Pack, right? Because you remember you had Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., Victor Moe, and all those guys. Well, this was the next version of them, and Bill Cosby just happened to be the black guy.
Okay.
Anyway,
the token.
But I believe they actually really cared about each other. This group, there was no racial anything.
No, it was Bill Cosby is a giant.
Same with Sammy Davis Jr.
Yes.
They embraced him. They loved Sammy.
They were lucky to have him around.
So anyway, we got this new Rat Pack. They ended up and they were telling stories about the Playboy Club, and I guess they moved one to. It used to be in Chicago, I think, is where it started.
That was the first one.
And then they moved one to Los Angeles.
Well, they had all over the place.
Really? Wow.
Des Moines had a Playboy Club.
Oh, did they? Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I guess you frequented all of them. That's
my first time driving to Tulsa to go to Rama. I'm driving I-80, and it's right on the side of the highway.
So you stopped in just to...
No, I'm like, what the heck, Des Moines?
Yeah.
And then a year later, it's gone.
Okay, but anyway, back to my train of thought, if I can find it again. So I remember seeing them interviewing Robert Vaughn, Robert Coppola, and they were talking about, and Bill Cosby was in it too, and they were talking about the grotto. I don't even know what a grotto is, but anyway, a grotto at the play, and all the shenanigans that were going on, sexual escapades.
The basement swimming pool at his mansion in Southern California.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, whatever. So anyway, in the drugs that they were using, they were doing drugs, and the girls were doing drugs. They were giving drugs to the girls, and they were in, sex with, and they were just like, like it was the most wonderful time. Now the difference is these other guys never spoke against the ills in society that were caused by all of this.
Right.
And I think a couple of them had died. But anyway, that's what happened to Bill Cosby. Nobody decided to bring this up until Bill Cosby spoke at the NAACP meeting. I think it was in 2002 or 04 somewhere. And he started telling black people that you are the cause of your demise. You're the ones who are to blame for the low education, the low morals, the this, and this. And so Bill Cosby must die. That was the motto at that point. Okay. They went after him. And nobody ever brought up any of these other people from the same era doing exactly the same thing and probably worse.
But it still happens today. To your point, Scott Adams, successful mayor, rising Democrat star, New York City's governor, our mayor, right? And he deigns to criticize Joe Biden over all these immigrants being dumped on him.
Scott Adams?
Something Adams.
Oh, you're talking about the black mayor, the past mayor. Yeah, I forget it wasn't Scott Adams.
Okay, something Adams.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, it's federal charges against him.
Yep.
And what did Clarence Thomas famously said? It is a high-tech lynching of uppity young blacks who deign to think for themselves. How dare Mayor Adams question Joe Biden? Make him pay. It's corrupt.
No, you're right. You're right. It is corrupt. And sadly, I think that Republicans are falling into it. And like I said, this is what really bothers me, that the Democrats won't do that to their own unless, like you said, it's something like that.
Eric Adams.
Thank you.
There you go.
Beat me to it.
Yeah.
So anyway, but corruption, like I said, Alexis de Tocqueville was a prophet. I mean, he saw it coming. He saw it coming, that as soon as our legislators realized they could legislate their own wealth, that's the end of our democracy. And I think it's true.
Yeah, he said America is great because it is good. America ceases to be good, it will no longer be great.
Yeah.
If I remember that, that's pretty close, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and it's the culture dictates the politics, and our culture's become so corrupted that our politics is too.
It is. It is. It's just sad. And I'm just going to say it. Okay. It began with the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party was founded on corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They've always been corrupt. They're the party of slavery.
Yeah.
And as once slavery ended, they became the party of Jim Crow.
Mm-hmm.
They're the party of the Ku Klux Klan. They're the party of Woodrow Wilson. Okay. Who was probably the most corrupt president we've ever had in our history. Racist, corrupt, you name it. Okay, even FDR was not the person you think that he's portrayed as.
Yeah.
So this is just it. Now, sadly, the Republicans have decided to join the party.
Mm.
And we've got a lot of corrupt Republicans in there right now. And it's not the ones you think, and not the ones that are being portrayed as corrupt. It's the ones that aren't. And the reason the ones who are being portrayed as corrupt are portrayed that way is because the others are trying to get them out of there.
So, yeah.
They're going to ruin the game.
Trump's first term, he was met by the deep state. The intelligence community came after him. They smeared him, right? His second administration, we found another deep state called federal judges. And I mean, Bobby Kennedy just announces the new vaccine schedule.
Right.
A federal judge blocked it. Why? I never saw them going after some progressive, big medicine effort.
Right. Especially the biggest example is the COVID vaccines and so forth.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, it's where we are. And that's why I always say the only thing we can truly do to fight this and bring it into it is prayer. I mean, honestly, if we had concerted prayer and fasting and you're really serious about taking the country back, that's the way it has to happen. But too many pastors are just not willing to stick there because of those heavy tithers. They don't want to offend the tithers. And it just makes. I'll give you a great example. I may have talked about this before. Okay, if a Republican candidate wants to speak at a church, this is one thing I have to give Laymeyer. Okay.
Jackson
Laymeyer, the pastor here right up the street.
Sheridan Church.
Right. I have to give credit to him. He's not afraid to have these people speak at his church. Mm-hmm. And here's the real rule, okay? You cannot have someone speak or support one party, okay, as a religious institution. Mm-hmm. But as long as you don't ban the other ones for coming to speak, you're good to go. This is why every election season you have all these Democrats visiting black churches, and they'll speak, and they'll come down on Republicans and so forth. Mm-hmm. The way to really end that is if you find out that a Democrat is speaking at a church, then you ask them for equal time. If they don't give you equal time, then you can bring charges and shut them down, take away their tax exempt status.
I like that.
That's how to do it. And on the other side, your churches can have whoever they want come in if you're a conservative, right-leaning church, a godly church. I threw that in the parentheses on that. Mm-hmm. No, but let's say if you did want somebody, a Republican or a conservative, to speak at your church, all you have to, or put their signs in front of your deal. As soon as someone brings up, makes it an issue out of it, oh, you put that on. Well, wait a minute. We didn't tell Joe Blow or Cindy so-and-so they can't do it. Yeah, they have a right. We're inviting any candidate, come speak to our people. You know, just like a Republican will be met by a hostile audience in a black church, the liberal candidate, the gay candidate, whoever might be met with a hostile audience at the conservative church. But our guys are just always, oh no, we can't do that. We can't do that. You
Right.
can do it. What do you mean you can't do it? They're doing it. There's no law against having someone speak if you give the same opportunity to the other guys. But but our guys are so chicken. They don't want. And a lot of times it's because they don't want to offend their heavy tithers.
Yeah.
And these, I mean, it's got to stop. It's got to stop.
But this
we
was
need to call these
right.
people out.
This was the earthquake politically that happened in 2016 presidential run. Donald Trump broke the mold because all the rest of them played by the same one hand tied behind the back rules.
Right.
And Trump said no. You know, the famous question from Megyn Kelly. And Trump just turned it around on her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a beautiful thing I see. Trump will be in the Oval Office with a press gaggle coming in there, and he will rip into the CNN, you know, Capitol correspondent, White House correspondent, and just rip because they're ripping into him.
Yeah.
Why not? You know, if you really want the news, watch it happen live. Don't get a recap on CNN that night.
Right.
You know, so.
Right. Hey, one of the big things, maybe the big thing of the week or last several weeks, is the SAVE Act.
Yeah.
And the Democrats are fighting it tooth and nail.
They don't know what to do because they know they're losing. It's definitely one of those 80-20
Yeah,
issues.
exactly. I was going to say 80% want of the populace of America, which means there's Democrats that want the SAVE Act.
So Thursday night, the talking point was, we're not against, you know, having to show an ID to vote.
Yeah, let's explain the SAVE Act. Basically, save our elections. Mm-hmm. They want people to have to show their ID to vote. You just got to prove who you are because we know, we don't think, we don't suspect, we know Democrats are cheating at the ballot.
Right. Now, that's the centerpiece. Right. It does stipulate certain federal oversights of how states run elections. Right. But the real centerpiece is
save our elections.
Yeah. Voter rolls is also part of it, you know, who is allowed to register because we're finding out thousands, tens of thousands in every state. Because as soon as they get, you know, they go in to get a driver's license, our laws have empowered the DMV to register people to vote.
Right.
And you have to take a proactive effort to take them back off. And the proper way to do it is due diligence, make sure they're qualified when they register to vote.
Right.
And yeah.
It's funny, you know, how corrupt these Democrats are. I remember I started this youth soccer league in North Tulsa. Mm-hmm. And so one day I come out, and of course it's North Tulsa, all these black families are out there with their kids. And so these people are coming around all of a sudden with voter registration things. And I said, oh, excuse me, can I register? Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. They're excited. Okay, great. I want to register as a Republican. All of a sudden they pulled the paper back and said, no, we're not doing that. I said, well, you better get out of here. You better get out. If you're not going to let people vote how they want to vote, then you're just working for the Democrat Party. Yeah. So get your butts out of here.
Yeah.
But that's how blatant, and it's much worse now. Now they're, you know, enrolling dead people. There's a new video. I was just watching it this morning. I still have it on my phone. What is this guy's name who is doing does the videos that catches people off guard?
Is it James O'Keefe?
Yeah, James O'Keefe. Yeah. It's a James O'Keefe. And they're in Los Angeles, and they're staying on a street corner talking to these people. And there's the Democrat headquarters, like right near the political office. And this guy even attacks him. They end up having to spray him with this anti-dog spray or whatever.
Yeah, I saw a video clip of that this morning.
Yeah, and they're talking to the homeless people, and they're paying these people to register, and all they have to do is sign. All they want them to do is sign. They'll fill out the forms on them and everything. But this is the extent of the corruption that these people are doing. They're paying people on. This is Skid Row. This is happening on Skid Row with your drug addicts, alcoholics, people on the street people, homeless people, and they're out getting these people to sign up as voters, and it's just, yeah, the corruption just knows no end.
Let me continue on this story.
Say that, right?
Right. So what they decided to do, and we're in the process of calling for a vote, is when we heard Democrats say we're not against that, is Republican leaders are drafting what's called a clean bill, which means single point, single topic, just that centerpiece issue.
Right.
About, should you be required to show an ID in order to vote? So we'll see where that happens, because there's a process of time to call a vote.
Right. And the way that Democrats are trying to dirty up the bill, basically, and essentially kill it. The good thing is Republicans started early enough that there's still another 2 years ahead before the Democrats can.
No, it's all about the midterm elections, Eddie.
Well, yeah, but yeah, that's true. I still think we're going to pull it off. We're going to hold.
But this would be a huge help.
Yeah,
huge.
Yeah. But so they're fighting this tooth and nail about immigration. I mean, basically, they're saying we will sign this. We will go ahead and advance this, but you've got to stop deporting our people, basically our people, their people.
Yeah.
So they're trying to hold this bill hostage so they can continually.
They don't want a clean bill.
They don't want a clean bill, right?
Yeah, they want to throw something else in there. So this is where we're at right now, and it's such an important thing that Ken Paxton was willing to sacrifice his own U.S. Senate run, basically saying to John Cornyn, who's like pretty high up there in leadership with Thune, says, you get that passed, I'll step aside.
Yeah, right now, and I'm not understanding this exactly. I assume they still have the primaries, the closed primaries in Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because, at least in polls, they're showing that this gay wannabe priest,
Tallarico.
Yeah, Tallarico is leading both of them in the polls. So I don't know. We'll see how that all works out.
I just laugh. I don't want to. That's nuts.
Yeah.
They were saying that Ted Cruz is way behind too. How many times?
Yeah. In the end, I think Texas will.
But the interesting thing, 2 polls have come out this morning showing that Paxton having well into double-digit lead over Cornyn in a runoff, because they're in a runoff. Right. One of them 16, the other is 18. Now, I haven't seen the internals, but it's enough that respectful journalistic outlets are reporting it. You've seen, I'm sure when you were at KFAQ, you and Pat would get these polls that were really just released by a campaign consulting. They're on, it might be a push poll.
Mm-hmm.
If you knew he was a rapist, would you still vote for
him? Yeah.
So anyway, that's interesting how that's going on. And so far the House, thank God the rules of the House are different. You can literally get a bill passed, even if it's by 2 votes. Everything in the Senate currently has to be by 60-40.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have 60 votes for closure. They did the funny thing is the Democrats under Harry Reid broke that rule and said, well, it's for appointments, right, to ratify somebody's nomination, to fill a slot. And then what was the other? Appropriations, to keep the government from shutting down, That's it. And then I think they said, and you get one other bill. That's why Trump did what he called his big, beautiful bill. He wanted to throw everything into one bill, because to get around it.
Right.
Funny thing is, Democrats are saying they're going to kill it. You know what stopped the Democrats from killing that, what do they call filibuster rule, the 60 votes closure, was Joe Manchin and Christian Sinema would not go along because they knew they were in purple states.
Yeah.
Now we've got one Democrat like that, John Fetterman, who you and I thought was nuts and the least qualified.
Well, I think he was. And I was telling the guys this morning in our meeting that I think the brain surgery he had actually fixed him.
Well, it started with a severe stroke, right?
Right.
I did not know that he did surgery on that.
No,
but
I think he did. As I recall, they actually did surgery on it, brain surgery to unclog or whatever it was called.
He'll be the first person I know who emerged from a stroke wiser than he before the stroke.
Yeah.
Because I tell you what.
Yeah, it's crazy, but Fetterman is a stronger conservative than some of our Republicans. It's just weird that the way it all turned out. I mean, really, really weird. I don't know what the two Republicans that were going at it in the past, even Dr. Oz. I don't know if Dr. Oz would have done anything more conservatively or better than John Fetterman has. It's it's just it's a crazy, crazy world we live in, crazy political world we're living in today. So,
who was that Republican senator from Pennsylvania? Allen. It was a Republican.
You mean years ago?
Yeah.
Cranston?
No, it wouldn't be that. Arlen Specter.
Oh, Arlen Specter.
Arlen.
Right. Okay.
See, Arlen was a rhino. Now, his greatest moment was vindicating Clarence Thomas because he's a former prosecutor and he just nailed Anita Hill. Literally accused her.
Well, and Joe Biden, who was the one.
Yeah.
He was the lead on the Democratic side.
But he literally accused Anita Hill of plagiarizing The Exorcist, that some of her lines came from the movie. But anyway, Arlen Specter fell out of favor with conservative Republicans. And so to save his butt, he re-registered as an independent, but caucused with Democrats. And for a while, the Republicans kept supporting him because they didn't want the Democrat. I think what you have in Pennsylvania politics is the reverse now. Fetterman was seen as a radical leftist. And now all of a sudden he's come to the center. And I don't know what the Democrat Party is going to do with him.
Well, I can tell you, they're going to try to get rid of him. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. They're going to try to get rid of him.
No.
I mean, what would be interesting is if he switched parties.
You see, they couldn't get Joe Manchin to do that. And it would have been so smart of Joe.
Right. Oh, yeah. But if they could have, yeah. So, and here's what, I mean, I have to say this. This is kind of crazy, but I actually admire Fetterman. I actually like the guy because he's basically saying, I'm nobody's man. You cannot count on my vote on any given issue. I'm going to vote for the issue by issue.
Yeah.
And vote my conscience, my constituents. I mean, wow, what a novel thought for a senator to listen to the constituents of my state as a senator and vote that way, support.
Yeah. John Fetterman still has another 2 years before he has to face re-election. Right. So we'll see what happens there. But he's from a wealthy family, evidently. And he basically bought all of his previous elections to office. And then he plays this populist thing, the hoodie guy, and stuff.
Well, but he's kind of cleaned up his act. You don't see him in his hoodie anymore.
Yes, at the Mullen hearings the other day, was wearing a black hoodie.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Now his committee meeting, but yeah, but he voted for Mullen, so that's okay.
Yeah. Again, which is something we can move into.
Yeah, let's do that.
The Rand Paul Mullen confrontation.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Mark Wayne was out of line when he basically made the attack on Paul when he was attacked by his neighbor. You remember he was attacked by his neighbor, had the broken ribs and everything. I mean, he was seriously injured. And Mullen kind of poo-pooed that. And just in general, said some pretty hurtful things. And Paul essentially demanded an apology from Mullen. And of course, the apology was not received. And it wasn't that clear of an apology either by Mark Wayne. But then you could tell that almost nothing that Rand Paul or that Mullen did was going to change Paul's mind. He doesn't like Mark Wayne Mullen, and he doesn't like Donald Trump. And Mullen is Trump's guy. So it's, I mean, thank goodness Fetterman was there and voted for him for that extra vote.
Yeah, back in 2016, you knew me as a Cruz supporter, right? And initially, you were a Ben Carson supporter. Well, initially, I was a Rand Paul supporter.
Mm-hmm.
Rand just
really,
Rand just could not get it together. And one of the people that I was initially working with to try to bring about an Oklahoma campaign team was Nathan Dahm, and then David Oldham. Well, anyway. Finally, I just gave up, and I remember running into Nathan in December. I said, look, Rand is not going to materialize. I'm going to get with Ted Cruz. Nathan, what are you going to? He says, if it's not Rand, I'll sit it out. He just didn't want to. That's how much Nathan Dahm tied himself to the whole Rand Paul faction, of which he was the leader of in 12 here in eastern Oklahoma. Well, anyway, the first time Nathan came in the studio to sit in that chair, he showed me a text where the Rand Paul PAC was going to fund Nathan's campaign against Mark Wayne Mullen. Rand Paul came up with $4,500, almost $500,000 that he funded.
You mean 450,000?
Or 450,000, yeah, sorry. Almost $500,000. And that was the reason Nathan ran. People only get out of race for one reason. They're out of money. That's just it, And as long as Nathan had money, he was going to stay in. Now, having said that, I don't know how much further back I can go to show the enmity between
Paul and
Mullen and, Now, what we did find out, we got little hints of, is even years before Mark Wayne Mullen became a congressman, he was doing something at the behest of Republican leaders as Speaker of the House, whether John Boehner, Kevin McCarthy. We know he was very close to McCarthy, so much so that the most ungodly public statements I've heard out of Mark Wayne Mullen were going after Matt Gaetz. And I consider both of them to be genuinely Christian men. Mm-hmm. And I just said, you both need to stop. Mark Wayne Mullen is passionate about certain things at certain times. And I think at times somebody needs to sit on him. I like the candor, but sometimes it's destructive.
Yeah, well, it's a moot point now.
Yeah, I'm just saying that to his whole statements about Rand Paul's attack and brutal near murder.
Right.
Because it collapsed his lungs. Right. I mean, it was.
Oh, no, I know it was bad. And,
but people do die from those.
But
injuries.
See, that's the thing about, we discussed that this morning before I came as well. The difference in a Ted Cruz, Little Marco, and Rand Paul. Mm-hmm. When they were running all of them against Trump in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
No one was more savagely set upon than Ted Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
Next, I would say, was Little Marco.
Sure.
Yet, these are two of the most loyal supporters of Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Rand Paul, he was attacked early on in the first debates, remember, and they had him way down on the end and all.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
You shouldn't even be here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not criticizing your looks, although there's a lot to criticize.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But he never forgave. He never could overlook that. He never understood that politics is a blood sport. And if you don't have the tough enough skin, I mean, thank God he didn't win. Because if he has that thin of a skin, see, to me right now, there's no greater candidate for president after Donald's done than Marco Rubio. Mm-hmm. And he was those two, remember they were next to each other, and man, I mean, they were going at it. Yeah. And yet Marco is now, I would say, Trump's closest ally.
And Trump praises him.
Oh, yeah.
And he deserves it.
And the reason...
This was a perfect office for Marco.
Right. But I think, too, the way he got himself there is because he showed that he could stand up to Trump without taking it personally and being so wounded and coming out against him that this is a man. I think that's just how Trump thinks. You know, I think he, like you and me, mm-hmm. Okay, the way we met, mm-hmm. arguing and doing this, and I was belittling this, and you mm-hmm. were coming after me, you know, mm-hmm. and because you didn't get all freaked out and mad and everything, mm-hmm. that's where I gained my respect for you. Mm-hmm. I said, well, this guy is my equal in this, that he can argue with the best of them and without being offended, without, it being so mad that, oh, I don't ever, I mean, you're on Facebook, so I'm on there all the time.
Right.
And I can't tell you how many people just get so mad and angry. They want to defriend me. They want to attack this and this and this. And I said, well, you're not worthy. I mean, you're not worthy because...
See, I think what it was is after that, I ran into you at Defenders of Liberty Awards banquet downtown, and I act like we're the best of friends. And you're just kind of looking at me like, when's he going to rip into me? And I didn't.
Right.
And then when you got, I thought, the shaft by KFAQ, I wrote that. I said, don't stop, Eddie. They only win if you stop. I encourage you. And I was the one who kept on after you. You need to podcast, Eddie. You need to podcast.
Yeah.
But
right, I do remember that.
But it goes to your point about, okay, this is a new deal, new day, new situation, reset. There's no reason we can't be allies. Let's do that.
It's a game. What gets me, especially in the NFL, mm-hmm. you see it. Not as much in college, but in the NFL. These guys will bash each other's mm-hmm. brains in. They'll hit each other, they'll attack mm-hmm. And after the game, you see two of them. I mean, it's like, wait a minute. I mean, weren't you guys just trying to kill each other mm-hmm. 20 minutes ago?
Yeah.
And now you're here all chummy and on there shaking hands and hugging and, mm-hmm. and that shows it's about the competition. You respect the guy that you went up against, and today wasn't our day.
Yeah.
But, another day is coming. But it's not personal. That's his job.
That's it.
That's his job to do that. And I think that's what Marco and Ted understood, but Rand Paul doesn't.
Yeah, because, I mean, to me, there's no greater evidence of this whole, you know what, this is just a competition. I don't hate this man. You see it in boxers.
Right.
After a long fight that goes the distance,
mm-hmm.
and one guy gets a decision, the other one comes over, hugs him, and holds his hand up.
Right.
That's respect. He was trying to bash my brains in, right?
Right.
Well, what's Rand Paul bent out of shape in? Mark Wayne cheering on his vicious attack. It's kind of hard to get. To me, Trump going after the looks of Ted Cruz's wife is low, way low. But this is far lower than what he did to Cruz.
Then Cruz basically kind of insinuating that Ted Cruz's father was part of the plot to assassinate Kennedy.
Yeah.
And so I think what Mark Wayne Mullen did was based on, the main thing I think it was based on is the way that he presents himself, okay? And so, oh man, my mind, I've got so many things trying to get through the holes here. But man, who are we talking about?
Well, Mullen
and Senator
Rand Paul.
I was thinking about his dad, but okay, Rand Paul. So Rand, I think what the big deal is with Rand Paul, he's a lot like his dad. I mean, he's got a lot of his dad in him, okay? And the problem is he has these principles that are his principles. They're not necessarily the mass of America's principles.
It's libertarian philosophy.
Right.
And it runs deep with them.
Right. And so the Pauls, let's just say the Pauls, they're so bent on this type of thing. Everything is filtered through that.
It really is.
That picture.
Because I mean, you and I have a good friend, David Oldham, who's very much in that same thing. And when you believe in it, everything you see happening around you is either a corruption or a compromise of it.
Right.
If not an outright attack on it. And it tends to, I mean, you're seeing Thomas Massey having the same getting pushed out. And I don't know where to go on this.
Yeah. No.
Especially with Massey.
Right. Because we agree with some of the things that, a lot of the things that Massey brings up and stands for, we agree with, but the detriment it brings overall to the party and what we're trying to do, see, this is what the difference in Democrats, again, it goes back to the fact they will do this in a private room somewhere, okay?
Yeah.
And they will discuss it and deal in I mean, how do you have Democrats voting 100% on every issue? 100%. And you always have Republicans, few defectors in the House, mainly. And so it shows you that there's a difference in that party, in this party.
It isn't love that unites the Democrats. No, it's fear.
It's fear.
Okay. So, and I don't know, we're not at those meetings. We don't know what they threaten to expose on each other. Because believe me, if you think we know dirt on the Democrats, they know a lot more dirt.
Right. But I don't think it's just that. I think it's driven by money. I see the Democrats as a bunch of greedy, money-grabbing politicians. That's what I see. And I think that the people with the money know this, and they know how to control it. Yeah. I have a friend. Did you remember David Brumbaugh?
Yes.
Yeah, he was one of my best friends. Okay?
Wonderful man.
Yeah, he was. And he told me when he first got elected, he called me, Eddie, man, you can't believe this. He said, last week I had these lobbyists for, I'm not going to say who it was from, but it was a certain lobbying group which are prominent in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Anyway, and they came to me and said, listen, we've got some bills and some issues need support on. We want your support. And if you do, we will fund your next campaign. They will totally fund it. It's one group. If you don't, we will find somebody to run against you, and we will fund their campaign against you.
Yeah.
That was the threat. And that's what I think a lot of Democrats, because, I mean, think about it. I would say a third of Democrats are not fit for the job.
Mm-hmm.
AOC, Ilhan Omar, the girl in Dallas that just got made a mistake
Oh,
by
Crockett.
Crockett. That was the biggest mistake she
Hallelujah.
ever. I don't know who convinced her to step out of the House
witch is dead.
to go to run for the Senate. I don't know who put that in her head, but it was a big mistake. But anyway, so they're all about money. It's about money, and they know that they can be bought.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Republicans cannot. Some can. I'm not saying every Republican is
but
immune from that, but a lot more than the Democrats.
Eddie, the simplest way to learn what controls the Democrat Party in Washington is if you get your hands on the old Netflix series House of Cards. Frank Underwood. Yeah.
I never watched the series.
Yes, initials, F-U.
There you go. See, I've never watched it. Never seen
it. Eddie.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I don't know.
We will be talking about it every week if you decide to watch it.
Okay.
It is that revealing. And you see, oh my God, that happens all the time. Now I understand it. It'll do that to you. I mean, Kevin Spacey's a brilliant actor.
Right.
Sadly, he thought that he had exemption from the law and he abused people, and now he's gone. Yeah. The Me Tooism. But anyway, let's get back to the whole libertarian philosophy. Here's an important point. When the libertarians officially got sanctioned and recognized by the state of Oklahoma, I quickly became their best friend in journalism. I covered all their stuff. They would invite me to insider meetings.
Okay.
One night, one of the candidates for governor, he was hosting some big shot in the party from New York was here, and the state party chair was there, and we got to talking. And the state party chair is a woman. She says, you need to understand, much of the libertarian tenets are not workable because we are a fallen society. She didn't use the scriptural terms that you and I would understand, but non-aggression policy, principle, that's kind of the golden rule that you do not initiate aggression towards others, physical, verbal, whatever way, and that it's just not workable, but it sounds great.
Yeah.
Especially to college kids, and that's why Ron Paul became so popular, and then his son just jumped in on that. So but if you believe that, it's going to control how you do things, and you'll feel such a religious fervor to those principles that you'll end up like Thomas Massey or Rand Paul, and you become isolated. I don't know where this goes.
Yeah, I don't either.
You're turned off, by the way.
Oh, sorry. No, I agree. I don't know either where it's going to end up with Massey or anybody, but we're in a tough spot right now. I mean, the infighting just seems to be getting worse and worse and worse, and the Democrats are doing such a great job in blitzing the airways, which let's just move into another area, which really is concerning to me, and that is Israel.
Yeah.
Every day, I'm seeing more and more and more attacks on Jews, on Israel, and from places I wouldn't expect it.
Mm-hmm.
And conservatives, Republicans, all of a sudden, everybody who has ever had anything happen to them attributed to Jews is now offended.
Mm-hmm.
Like Israel, all of a sudden, to many people has become a greater threat. Well, not just, you see it on the media, CNN in particular. Israel has become a greater threat to America than Iran. Mm-hmm. And you've got more and more people buying into it incrementally. So the thinking is this: well, I don't support Iran, but I don't support Israel either. We've spent too much money, too much time, too much effort supporting Israel. We need to focus on us. Well, you didn't say that when it came to Ukraine. It's funny. There are anything south of the Mediterranean, we have no interest in. What the Muslim in Nigeria are doing, that doesn't involve us.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on in Iran, that doesn't involve us. What's going on here, doesn't involve us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but Ukraine. Oh no. We've got to defend Ukraine. So there's some kind of disconnect here. Something's not adding up for me, because to me, the southern hemisphere
Mm-hmm.
is at least as important, if not more so.
Yeah, Eddie, you just identified one major, probably the biggest faction in this whole thing about our relationship with Israel, and that's on the left. There's another faction somewhere on the right.
Right.
And that includes libertarians, by the way, like Rand Paul, and others. And we've got to come up with, and I think Donald Trump's doing his honest best to come up with a sensible policy that's not extreme in either direction. I think what he did in the 12-day war, he did what only America could do, and he did for America's reasons. The fact that he had a natural alliance with Israel, I think, just made it all that much more doable and sensible to work out a time.
But it's being portrayed as he's owned by Israel. He's sold out to Israel.
Yeah, and you and I just do not give credence to that narrative.
Right.
And I think it's just a cheap shot.
But it's a cheap shot that more and more, I mean, you're on Facebook, maybe not as much as me, but you're on there a lot. And if you read all the stuff, it's unbelievable.
Well,
how many people who should know better.
And some of those are actually not bots.
Oh, no, I know.
These are bots. There's so many, and X is even more so that way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But the people I know on Facebook that I know are legitimate people that are basically wanting to disavow any relationship, any support for, or anything with Israel. It just baffles me, and a lot of them. What's crazy is back to the old holy war between Christianity and Judaism. You've got a lot of them that are Christians that are upset, and they're trying to say that when Jeremiah says he made an everlasting covenant, or Abraham, but then again Jeremiah says he made an everlasting covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. They somehow are able to just bury that.
But you know what? It's gotten so toxic now. You know how we get disgusted with them throwing around the racist term, right?
Right.
It's a cheap shot, has no meaning. And unfortunately, I'm now putting anti-Semitic in that same camp. Because it doesn't matter what you say supportive, if you say one thing that isn't flattering of Netanyahu in his government, now you hate Jews? Well, what about most of the Knesset, which is very critical of him? Are they anti-Semitic? Or you mentioned to him Jeremiah. You wouldn't believe the things he said about the Jews in Judah. Clearly, he's anti-Semitic by today's terms. He's saying you're going to be destroyed as a nation and carried off to be, persecuted.
He didn't attack Israel there. What he did, he just prophesied what's going to happen to them.
Again.
Now, no one is worse than Moses. If you go to Deuteronomy, the 9th chapter, the entire chapter that's where the term stiff-necked and
Exactly, Eddie.
Yeah, they're
So
stiff-necked people, and yet, see, here's the problem.
yeah,
Okay, I buy all of that. As you know, they came out against me when I was running for office 2 years
exactly.
ago. Okay, yeah, but God's word is God's word, and I'm not going to sit there and all of a sudden become anti-Semitic
Okay.
because some rabbi and some lady here in town
No.
thinks that I hate Jews or something.
Well,
you know.
I go to
So-
Paul when he said in Romans, all the promises of God are in Christ, yea and amen. That it doesn't matter whose lineage you are, if you're not in Christ, none of the promises are for you. That's Paul in Romans.
Right, but in the same book, in Romans, Paul tells us not to try to ungraft us from the Jews.
That is a very astute point, Eddie.
Okay, that's the thing. In fact, the people who are more critical about the religious Jews than anyone are biblical characters. You know, Jeremiah, who's a prophet, prophesying against the leadership of Israel.
Jesus.
Moses,
John the Baptist,
Jesus, John, you name them.
Yeah.
And then later, you know, the apostles. But nevertheless, God's covenant with them is everlasting. And for me, it does nothing but give me hope.
Yeah.
Because I tend to fail. I let God down. I'm not the person I should be or want to be or everything. Nevertheless, it gives me hope that if the Jews could pull the stuff that they've pulled and are still pulling the stuff they pull, yet God has this everlasting covenant with them that I am now grafted into.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Lord. It gives me hope.
The modern day nation of Israel, that established in 1948, has almost perpetually been governed by socialists, if not outright communists. Now, they have multiple, they're not a two-party state. They're a whole bunch of parties.
They've got Islamic. They've got more
Islamic, right. And you have the Hasidic Jews have their own party. What I'm saying is the actual Torah believing, followers of Judaism are a small minority and certainly not reflective in the government. Netanyahu himself is an atheist. So what we're supporting,
he's an atheist.
That's according to multiple sources I got. Now, he respects the beliefs, and especially when it comes to America, his message here, of course it's going to be catered to where his support comes in America. And it's a carefully crafted message, but what seems to get diminished from all that is we're supporting probably the most socialist state in the Middle East, and in one that largely does not believe in, and adhere to the biblical principles in the way that the United States does. Again, it was a hedonistic festival that got attacked on October 7th.
True. But now here's going way back. If you look at the Jews in exile or that were in Egypt,
do
you picture them as being wholly devout?
Exactly, Eddie.
But yet,
because we read what Moses thought of them,
right?
After how many days of wandering in the desert.
Exactly. So my whole point is this: I don't care what they do. I'm not putting my faith in Israel.
Yeah.
My faith is in God and what He said about them. Right. Now, He, I believe, will redeem them and call them back to Him.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's going to happen.
Okay.
But see, because we just see the same thing about Christianity. A couple of the first things we spoke about today are Christians that are not necessarily acting Christian, right? So for us as Christians to sit here on our high horse and condemn Israel.
Right. No, I think we're coming to a point of consensus we can both agree on. God's mercy is truly amazing.
And his promises
Right.
are promises.
And things we don't deserve when it comes to redemption and restoration. God is God. He's a wonderful, loving God. He also pronounces judgment, especially in those he loves and calls his own. As we see Jeremiah, we see what Jeremiah is doing. It's pretty harsh words, but it's the words of a loving God. And so it's okay to find an alliance in very pragmatic terms with Israel if you're the United States. And it does make sense. But at the same time, knowing sometimes they screw up. And sometimes we need to say, you know what, you could do better than that, and your outcomes will be better.
Right. But see, to me, we want to be hard on Israel and the Jews. Okay. But Germany, France, most of Western Europe, from Scandinavia down, are supposed to be a Christian nation.
Mm-hmm.
Yet their churches are empty. Mm-hmm. They're converting them into museums and so forth. Most of those people are atheists now. Okay. If you look at the atheist population versus proportion versus to America, America's a godly nation
but
still. Okay?
King Charles, the wonderful man of God, how dare you speak evil of him and the Church of England?
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying,
so
we're ready to judge Israel because leaders and others don't live up to the Old Testament picture of a Jew, where a lot of the Old Testament characters and people were not the most godly either.
Right.
You know, I had my eyes open. I thought I knew the story of Samson. I thought I'd read it several times. Samson was not a good person. Samson loved the Edomite women. You remember? And that's how Jezebel.
He would have been at the music festival on October 7th.
Yeah. And it never says that his dad, knew. They tried to talk him out of getting involved with this woman, you know, and he just did all the things against. The only thing he didn't do was cut his hair. I mean, he did keep that, but I think he understood that's where his strength came from. But he did not feel this.
And that Fabio look, you know.
But but see, I don't think he never really embraced what God had chosen him for. Okay.
You're right.
And so, but yet in the end, he prayed to that God, and he gave him the power to destroy himself with the temple. But anyway, it's just, see, I may not understand it. I may not agree with it. I may not like it, but the word of God is the word of God. Why did he choose me? My last Huff cousin just passed away. I was at his funeral a few months ago. Why did God choose me and not them? Because as far as I could tell, they were not godly people. In fact, they were the opposite. Okay. And yet he chose me to call out and to follow him. And so I can't sit here and try to understand it. I'm not going to reject it because I have chosen to believe him. Shall not the judge of the whole earth do what is right? That's the thing he told Abraham.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can cling to, because he's God, I'm not.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's how I say it. That's why I'm going to wrap this up by saying he chose Israel. I believe it's going to turn out just as he said, and I'm going to cling to that, and I'm going to follow that and stick with it.
The only weakness in that logic, of all the things Schofield and Darby and all, you know, Hilton Sutton and all that, you have to say, is the assumption that this secular nation of Israel, I'm calling it a secular nation, it has within it devout followers of Judaism and devout followers of Christ.
Okay.
But I'm saying is, to say that this secular nation is that group that was prophesied in what some people say is a double prophecy of the remnant returning.
Well, if not this one, where is it?
Well, it's built on a circular premise that we are in the final days. And a whole bunch of the prophecies that were set up would have had to have happened. The rapture would have had to happen by 96 or 98.
That's something. The rapture is something that came about in the 18th century.
Yes.
Somebody prophesied.
Again.
No theologian, no one ever thought about a rapture.
I understand, but Schofield and Darby talked about, and they're the same ones that are pitching this whole thing about the 1948 prophecies. And there's historically.
Well, okay, but explain away then the fact that Israel did reconstitute as a nation in 1948.
This group, yes, of secular Jews calling themselves Israel, setting up a socialist nation.
Yeah, but he never said that the godly shall return to the land and create a nation. That's something we want to put on them.
Right.
That's something we are interjecting. That it can't truly be a rebirth of a nation unless they're God-believing, Jesus-loving Jews.
But okay? I'll use a simple example. Hilton Sutton, famous end times preacher, writes several books. He said, and I heard it myself, we know for a fact that the Soviet Union will be destroyed by God, and we know that the United States never will be.
Okay.
Well, you're presuming that we are those instruments in Gog and Magog and all this stuff. And it could be a millennia from now those things happen.
It could be, and it could be tomorrow.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, I have never, in my 53 years as a believer, I have never read one thing by Hilton Sutton. Every now and then my thing lands on channel whatever that they're on by mistake, and I immediately leave it. So I have chosen, now I will say I got saved, came to the Lord through Hal Lindsey's Late Great Planet Earth. And I thank God for that book, and I thank God that he used it to lead me to him. But I've never hung on to, this is how in fact, later as I grew in the Lord and went to seminary, I personally don't believe in a rapture. Okay. I'm not a rapture person. I get into big arguments with my friends sometimes. But to me, the rapture or no rapture is not what I hang my faith in. My faith is in Jesus Christ, him crucified, him resurrected, and choosing me as I seek to follow him. That's it. I don't care who it is, there is no perfect human. There's no perfect preacher. For example, Saint Vadi. All of a sudden, Vadi Bachman became the biggest, most popular, most godly and right on. You know Vadi Bachman?
Nope.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Vadi Bachman, he went to Dallas Theological Seminary. He's a black guy. He served as a missionary in, I think it was Zambia or Mozambique, one of those. But anyway, he came back to America, and he became this huge, he had this beard. Anyway, he became this huge spokesman and preacher, and he would do these rallies with thousands of people now. And I like what he says, and I believe in the things, but it's like he was exalted to this place, and even them, Dallas Theological Seminary does not believe in a rapture either. But anyway, I'm not maybe it's my rebel spirit still there. I'm not a follower. I'm not a good follower of anyone except Jesus. Well, I am not. I mean, there's people who I like, but I don't. Everyone that I know that I respect. I can see flaws.
A few years ago, we were sitting here, and you asked me a question, and you thought my answer was brilliant. It had to do with what I thought about the end times, and are we in the end days? And I said, Eddie, everything that's in the Bible about the end times. I believe it. As to how and when it'll happen, I don't know.
But
And you just kind of laughed like that was a brilliant way of skirting. You
oh,
couldn't pin me down to anything. And I'm just saying how we want to fill in the blanks. Hilton Sutton was terrible about filling in the blanks and creating scenarios that would get people in the pews and sell more books.
right. But see, here's the deal. If we get to the point where we try to convince ourselves, well, the rapture may not come or probably is not upon us, then we start living like it's not upon it. I don't want to say rapture. I'm sorry, the second coming, the wrapping up of the end of the end times. But if we daily live it like this could be the day,
perfect.
This could be the day. That's how we need to live.
Whether
rapture or Jesus is going to just show up in the sky suddenly and speak.
That's just it. Joey Lash got the best answer. He's a 17-year-old at the first church I was on pastoral staff at. And he says, brother, I've heard for 2 years now that Jesus is coming soon. It's been 2 years. It still hasn't happened. And the senior pastor said, Joey, Lord could come back tonight for you. Live right where you don't have to worry about it. Here's the real scandal in the Middle East, Eddie. And I believe God's going to and should judge this more seriously. It's not how the United States relationship with Israel is, not directly, nor with the Arabs, generally, the Muslims, I'll say. It's how we've abandoned the Christian church throughout the Middle East. Israel, West Bank, Gaza, Jordan, Iraq, Iran, all of them. We should be finding unity and brotherhood and assistance in their peril, because they are the salt of the earth, Eddie, and there's no place where salt isn't needed more than in that struggle.
Yeah, I don't totally agree with that, because the church is in greater need, to me, in Europe and America than it is in Palestine or in Israel, because what's the old saying? The blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church.
I understand. It's worse to be in Germany than to be in Gaza, is what you're saying as a Christian.
Exactly.
I disagree with you.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
the bombs been flying in Gaza, not in Berlin.
Yes, but that's if you look at it through carnal eyes.
Okay.
And by carnal, I mean physical.
Okay. Yeah.
If you think
in the natural,
if you think that persecution and death is worse than being lukewarm and spit out of.
No, you're right, Eddie. We don't need to compare. Right. We don't, right. And I shouldn't have compared.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. To me, African Christians. I mean, there was this book out. I pray I still have it. It's called The White Man of Africa.
Yeah.
And I can't think of his name now. He's the guy that ended up answering to Dr. Livingston's call to send us help. And he's the first one to go into Africa. Okay. The first guy to go all the way. He went all the way into the interior in Uganda. Okay. And so many of them died. The people died of malaria and things that the Europeans just weren't used to. But anyway, he got in there. And so what happened, they made headway with the first king. Okay. And so, but because they were Protestants, they converted everybody to Protestantism. And then the Catholics came, Franciscans came, and converted everybody into Catholics. And so when the one king became a Catholic, to establish that, he killed all the Protestants.
Oh my God.
And then the Protestants came along and started killing all the Catholics.
Did he do it in Jesus' name?
And the stories were but not just kill them, Africans can't just do anything mildly. They would just chop all the arms off. And so there were these piles of arms and legs, and they would burn them. It's just horrific stuff. but it was a little bit of the history.
They're passionate for Christ.
Right, right. But the people who, if you want to admire people and see what true faith is, that these people endured that.
Yeah.
In in order to gain glory.
Yeah.
It's unlike anything we have to deal with. With us. Oh, what? I've got to get up for an 8 o'clock service this week.
Yeah. No, Eddie, I was wrong to make a comparison. Regarding, I think the church finds itself at all times under peril in different manifestations. Mm-hmm. And it may be in one manifestation amongst one people and culture and different in another. But I'm just saying, we have to at least acknowledge there are people professing Christ in a place where they're in danger.
Exactly. Nigeria is one of the main ones now.
Yeah, today. Sudan. I mean, there's just a bunch of them. Right. Historically, we've been seeing it over and over again. And I'm saying, just as Paul was sent out and he called for the support of people even in his mission. Here the Christians in Jerusalem sent him out into the Roman Empire, and then he builds these churches and he says, we need to support the Christians in Jerusalem. And it's all about caring for each other's needs. And we need to see that as a universal concept and say, well, yeah, but those are Palestinians, so they don't count as Christians. No, they do.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, no, I agree. But you can't turn yourself totally against, so for example, it's not the Israelis that are punishing Christians as Christians. They're punishing the government of Palestine and what they've done. And if you happen to be there, you just happen to get, for example, my grandmother, most godly woman I'll ever know.
Yeah.
Okay. Never heard of fly, nothing. I mean, honestly, yeah. Okay, German. Mm-hmm. When America was bombing the city of Nuremberg, okay, they didn't say, oh, there's Frau Gemmel's house. Let's not bomb that one. They bombed her house just like they bombed everybody else, and it was grace of God. A bomb actually landed and never exploded in their house.
Yeah, they're truly victims.
I wouldn't
be
here today, right? So not every German. We have to. In fact, where that came from? Believe it, I got inspiration from Sting.
How about that?
The singer Sting, and it was when he came out with the songs. Russians love their children too.
Yeah.
Do you remember that song?
I do remember that quote. It was powerful.
Right. Well, that song really made me relook at everything. That's true that not every Russian is my enemy.
Right.
Not, so I don't hate Palestinians. I don't hate Jordanians. I don't hate Iranians. In fact, to me, Iranians have two things going for them. They're some of the most intelligent people from that region.
Yeah.
And they have, to me, some of the most beautiful women on earth. Okay.
Yeah, with a bottle in there, they're hairy people. I'm sorry.
Well, they're beautiful hairy people. But anyway, we want to get this idea that the Iranians are just evil and the non-Iranians are wonderful people. Europeans are wonderful people. Europeans can be some of the nastiest people on earth. We're, in fact, I remember living over there. Crime is segmented into nationality. Okay, the Albanians run the prostitution. The Russians run the pornography. Nigerians or Africans run the drugs. I mean, it's like everybody's got their little niche, and you stay out of there.
By the way, to your point, probably considered the most handsome guy on cable news, Rob Schmidt. He's Iranian. Well, he's half Iranian, at least.
Right.
His mother is from Iran. I'm just saying, you're talking about, handsome people. You got a good point. But that's the thing. See, Greta Van Susteren, Nancy Grace, if they're more handsome, then the crime is more, worth following. If she's a hot college co-ed, then we're concerned about her disappearance.
Okay.
But if it's
I think this one has run its course.
Yeah.
I think we need to wrap up. I got a couple more things here real quick.
Mhm.
You can do yours. Zoran Madami.
Okay.
Madami.
Mhm.
He has decided to end his Ramadan fast.
Mhm.
The end of Ramadan. And if you don't know Ramadan, it's their most holy period. It's like, I think it's a month. I think, the month of Ramadan, yeah. And so anyway, you can't eat from sunrise to sunset. That's how it's supposed to be. They cheat all the time. I trust me, they cheat. So anyway, so he wanted to end Ramadan, this holy season for them, at Rikers Island, the prison. And the picture is him there, and they're all buying this whole giant room. There's probably a couple of hundred inmates there. And so, but beyond that, he's wanting to close Rikers Island down, and he's wanting to transfer the criminals to other jails, smaller jails and so forth. But it says, but he's got some pushback. Mystery novelist Daniel Friedman, according to his bio website, he lives in New York City. And he says you have to be absolute monster to be sent to Rikers Island these days. Offenders on Rikers Island all have long histories of doing things so horrible that even the woke pro-crime judges and prosecutors in New York City don't want to be responsible for what they do if they're ever let out.
Yeah, okay. It sounds like an Alcatraz.
There's another one, Moshe Hill, longtime Long Island resident and candidate for the Nassau County Legislature. He agreed. He says criminals in this prison are just they're just New Yorkers in custody, according to Mandela.
Yeah, but okay, is it municipal jail?
Let me finish. Okay. No, Rikers is a state prison.
How in the world does he have any authority?
I don't know. Well, then maybe it would be. I don't know. Maybe he's just pushing for them to be let free. But Rikers is a pretty. He says, why are they in custody? You don't have to go to Rikers Island for nothing. He'll quit. So anyway, there's a lot of pushback now. But the things he's proposing and doing are just nuts. I mean, Rikers Island, you've heard about it. I've heard about it for years and years and years.
Yeah, but I think we're missing the point. And I think a lot of this argument, it's illogical. The fact is, to run a prison on an island has extra expense. Operational expense is a real thing. And I think there may be something there, but I don't hear him saying anything about it's too expensive.
Well, what extra expense would you have?
Everything gets moved in by boat, ferry. Everything.
No, it has a road, a long bridge and a road that they call it the island because it's land, but they've got built a bridge that goes on.
Is it causeway or an actual bridge?
Well, it's a road. It's a road.
It's a causeway. Then that just moots that point. See, what do I know? I live out here. But Alcatraz is the famous San Francisco Bay.
Right.
It's because nobody ever escaped from it.
And it was it was quite a distance.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing is, maybe its commercial value is much greater, and you can put a prison anywhere. But people are arguing for the class of prison and the severity of punishment. They're not using those words, but that's what they really mean.
Right, yeah, and again, it's not like he's letting them go. He's putting them to other prisons, I guess they're smaller prisons.
Yeah.
And the problem is when you put a more violent criminal.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of heat and no light on this. What is the real reason? Because
wait, what is the real reason for what? For him wanting to?
Yeah, for the idea of maybe there's a better facility or way of structuring your campus facilities to accomplish the same
I see
goal.
what you're saying.
And we're not hearing that on either side.
Yeah. I don't know, but I know the pushback is the fact that you're going to move some of the most violent criminals in America to smaller with middle tier.
They don't know that.
No, they do. They just said Rikers is known.
No, but I'm saying what's going to happen to us that somehow we're endangering the public by putting them in a less secure place. I don't read from what you said. I don't conclude that.
No, what he's saying is that they're moving into these other facilities where the criminals are not as violent or not as bad. So what you're going to end up doing is have a whole lot of dead other inmates, and you're going to create new problems and issues.
If they're part of the general population, then you're right.
Well, yeah.
But if no, they can run several independent, like the Tulsa jail. They've been through there. They have these pods, and you have to be a trustee. That's the highest level of earned trust to even get outside that pod. Otherwise, you're in that pod.
The question though is, why, if it's that bad and it's not a big deal, why are they sentenced to Rikers Island and not one of these other jails?
Right.
Because there's obviously a level of crime or a level of offense that these guys have committed, which deserves to be on that island versus one of these other lesser prisons.
I would just like to hear Mondami's rationale.
Yeah, I have no idea why he wanted to do it. Probably just the typical thing. He's going to save money that way.
I hate to say anything on this subject until I've got more clarity of the whole issue.
I'm willing to say if Mondami is for it, then I'm against it. It's just there's something not right there.
Right.
There's something.
See, his wife is in more trouble in the news now, because she's cheering on the October 7th raids. That just I can't believe that didn't come out before now.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. By the way,
Elizabeth, I'm going to finish with this one, okay? What's her Elizabeth Warren is coming against Pete Hegseth because of this tattoo he has.
Okay,
that cross. He has this, and she's down on it's a racist. It's a this or this or this. Well, but she's supporting this candidate
in Maine.
And his Graham Plantner is his name, and he's got this Nazi tattoo on his chest.
It's a cross.
Which is No, that was not a cross. It was something else, as I recall. It's
okay.
It's like a skull or some kind of I think it's a skull of some kind. Anyway, he has since then had it covered over. He's had it tattooed over.
Okay.
And that is, but she has no problem with him having had that. He's tried to excuse it away, but she has a problem with Hegseth's cross tattoo. So these are the things we're dealing with, and I don't know. We're just anything Elizabeth Warren for or against.
But she's a fellow Oklahoman.
Oh, and a Native American.
Yes.
An Indian.
Her Indian name's Pocahontas. Yeah. So, but anyway, by the way, just one last thing on the Israel thing. Tucker Carlson just immediately had Joe Hart on. Is it Joe Hart?
No, not Joe Hart.
Joe Kent.
Yeah, Joe Kent.
Joe Kent.
Yeah.
Joe Kent. Joe Hart's a friend of ours.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, Joe. Joe Kent. Now, Joe Kent, you remember the old action Fox series called 24?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was CTU, Counterterrorism Unit, right? Well, there is an actual CTC, Counterterrorism Center, run by, until a few days, Joe Kent. It's about infiltrating through intelligence means to prevent terrorism from happening in the United States. That's the role that Joe Kent served.
In the administration?
Yeah, you're turned off. You just say it again.
Okay, yeah. You mean in the administration?
Yes. Okay. So he famously resigned early this week, citing a clear difference of opinion about the wisdom of the United States going to war against Iran. The problem with it is his position at CTC does not give him any insights into this foreign war, foreign military threat. So he doesn't have the expertise by nature of his role. In fact, he complained that he wasn't involved in certain briefings. But again, it wasn't an area where they
needed to brief him.
Right. And so right away, Tucker Carlson has him on. And Tucker has clearly split with Trump over this issue, and the broader issue of how involved we are with Israel. Tucker's been further criticized for his very cozy relationship with Qatar. He goes over there a lot. He's very involved in things. As much as he criticizes other people for being American leaders for being mouthpieces for Israel, you can clearly make the same claim about him with at least Qatar. So I listened on my drive home from Florida this week, this podcast. I am so underwhelmed. I am so unimpressed with all the arguments that Joe Kent made. My regard for him as a leader, as a hero, and that was much greater until the other night. The circular logic, the innuendo, the unfounded claims. This was way below what I'm used to hearing from Tucker Carlson. I believe Tucker Carlson is throwing away rationale and logic to a certain degree. And I usually consider very high in those areas. So whatever Tucker was trying to accomplish by having him on, just boom, immediately, and that, big failure. I am not impressed. And at the same time, I am just as disgusted with the voices that are trying to smear Tucker Carlson as somehow anti-Semitic. I completely disavow anybody who's playing that game, including Ted Cruz, Mark Levin, several of them. It's gotten nasty amongst the right, Eddie. I don't know.
Well, it has, but I think what you're seeing is circling the wagons. I think those supporters of Israel and Jews, the conservative ones at least, are seeing this assault on the nation, and they're fighting back. And they're fighting back in the only way they really know how, verbally. They're coming out against any attacks on. So, for example, you're right. Israel essentially is a secular nation. They do, and here's the sad thing: there's Hasidim, the Hasidic Jews there. I don't know if you've seen the videos of they've got them and little kids even spitting on Christians in Jerusalem and so on. So they're not nice people. Okay, they're stiff-necked, uncircumcised people, as the Bible calls it.
Spiritually uncircumcised, because they'll debate you on the physical circumcision.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm talking about the Hasidics.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But
and that's the worst insult you can call them. Is uncircumcised.
Right. Oh, no, I know.
But that's what Paul did.
But that's the problem. See, the problem is that it's like Catholics that put all of their faith in the sign of the cross
and the sacraments,
holy water, and that type of thing.
The ritualism.
Now, not to say that it does not show some devotion or whatever, because there are godly Catholics, as we know, who observe that, and they're very godly, very good people, and all of that. every faith has that.
Yeah.
Okay, every faith you're going to have
Great point.
And King James,
Mm-hmm.
who basically had the translation that became the most popular in English-speaking world, right? The King James Version. What was his deal? You know, why did he write? Why did he have them do it? Well, he split from the church, the Catholic Church, because he wanted to divorce his wife. And
that was King Henry. Henry VIII.
Right, but James as well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Right, James. Yeah. Well, that was the reason he did it, because they wouldn't authorize him to get a divorce.
You can't be British royalty without having a few women on the side, you know. I guess.
But anyway, that was his whole rationale. So he got so mad at the church, he decided, well, I'm going to go ahead and do my own Bible. And,
well, more importantly, having one in the common English language, so you didn't have to go to a priest to know what the Word of God said.
Right, but the main reason he did it again is because he wanted to get a divorce, and they wouldn't sanction it. The church.
Yeah.
So this whole discussion about who's more Christian, who's more Jewish, who's now to the other. I don't care. It's not me. It's God's. He'll decide. He'll work it out and everything like that. I just have to do what he tells me and follow that. And so, like I said, in the case of Israel, you got these Hasidim, which is supposed to be the ultra spiritual Jews, the ones who wear the long hair, and then they have their hats. They wear the hats and their black clothes and everything. They're the modern day Pharisee. Basically, they're the modern day Pharisee. And so then you got the Sadducees, which would be everybody else who doesn't really believe in eternal life or death and all that. So it's like Lamentation says, there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, everything we're seeing today. Who came up with the claim? Was that George Bush that says deja vu all over again?
Oh, Yogi Berra.
Oh, that was Yogi. Okay, yeah, it's deja vu all over again. Yeah. It's like the things we're seeing today are really no different from what we saw. The alliances. For example, Israel now, Saudi Arabia is on their side, Jordan's on their side. Everybody's against the Palestinians. They're against the Iranians. Yeah. Tomorrow we'll reshuffle it.
Henry Kissinger famously once told Anwar Sadat, he says, the Saudis are determined to destroy Israel if it takes every last Egyptian to do it. And now I'm thinking the new version is, if it takes every American bomb in our arsenal to destroy Iran, the Saudis are determined to destroy Iran. Saudis rarely put up their own troops.
Right. Well, they'll be part of the UN peacekeeping force. Yeah. That's what they will do that.
But that's not to say they haven't shown leadership. The Abraham Accords. This latest tip that happened with Gaza and that, right before that, Netanyahu had announced this new pipeline going through Israel, going to take Saudi oil by pipeline to Europe. That was going to make the Straits of Hormuz moot, for Egypt. For Europe, and that. So, it's kind of funny how they will play that. There was something else I wanted to say on that. I'm trying to get all my stuff. Oh, the last thing I would say, we still haven't found out, nor even have they begun the investigation on how October 7th happened. Netanyahu said, when the war is over, we will look at that. And how many years has it been? Now they finished that deal with Gaza. There's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
That the greatest intelligence service in the world couldn't protect themselves in their own backyard. There's a lot of people think this was a real convenient thing for Netanyahu's aggressions. I'm withholding judgment, but I'm thinking seriously, there needs to be an investigation.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to put that back out there.
You know what it reminds me of? Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
That Roosevelt, our intelligence people knew what was coming, but we just decided not to stop it because we wanted to enter the war.
Yeah. But how many people got sacrificed for that?
Oh yeah. Right, sure.
By the way, Trump had a great witty comeback a couple days ago. The Japanese prime minister was in his office, and the Japanese press said, well, why didn't you notify your allies that you were about to attack Iran? And he said, well, that's interesting. You people are the expert at surprise attacks. How come you didn't tell us about Pearl Harbor ahead of time? And I watched that woman prime minister. She just kind of flushed me like, oh my God, you had to ask that. Yeah. I mean, the meeting.
Commit Harry Carey immediately. Go into the other room and commit Harry Carey for dishonoring us.
Now, you know what? Our liberal press did say, how rude of Trump to do something like that. That's so undiplomatic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it was awesome. And I tell you,
yes,
if my dad was still alive today, he said, thank you, finally. So anyway, let's see. So I just want an update on this musical chairs that's happening because Mullen, I think they've scheduled a vote. You'll probably hear in the next week to approve his appointment, Mullen, to be Secretary of Homeland Security. I consider that about the number 4 most important cabinet spot. After the president, vice president, then you got your Secretary of State, Secretary of War, Attorney General, and then Homeland Security. It's the largest in personnel. And so Mullen's going to not an insignificant role. So you've got that going on. That's going to, as soon as that happens, it triggers, first of all, governor makes an appointment. And, we got to do that this week because Mullen needs to take office by the end of March. We're in the last, 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
So then that'll create a vacancy. A lot of people are thinking Harold Hamm has got it. There's just not been any more talk about anybody else. Governor Stitt's probably going to put this, up from just abject poverty, Harold Hamm, wealthy Oklahoman. This is kind of perfect for him. He didn't want to run for anything. I mean, he's got too many divorce issues to deal with, for that. But there's a lot to contribute in the energy sector, oil industry, big time, likes him. So the more important thing is who's going to run, because we're about 3 weeks away from filing. Kevin Hearn is the one I know for sure is in. And I don't know of anybody else who's absolutely saying I'm in.
Right.
So he's getting a lot of head start.
And then for the House seat.
Yeah, so that vacates an incumbency in House. And we're hearing a lot. Your friend in the insurance industry, Mark Tedford.
Right.
You've spoken glowingly of Tedford.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I'm not going to do it now because we're at the end. We'll have him come in and then we'll discuss some more.
I mean, when Tedford's friend, an associate, was running for county commissioner and his opponent started trashing Mark Tedford instead of his opponent, you said, you know what, for that reason, I'm endorsing this other guy, because how dare you attack somebody that is just so admirable as Mark Tedford. And you knew Tedford. You knew him business-wise and stuff.
No. I knew him socially. He used to do, we had a men's prayer group at Panera Bread on Lewis.
You also mentioned that he gave you some assistance in presenting a policy proposal.
Oh, yeah, at Oklahoma Wesleyan. Yeah, but that was years later. That was 10 years later. But where we really knew each other was this men's Bible study on every Friday morning.
Yeah. I would say that would put Tedford just because the business community so respects him.
Yeah, and he's got so many clients, and not just on this side, but he's got a new office in Owasso,
Right.
and I think there may be one in Claremore as well.
Yeah.
But but beyond that, he's just a good guy. I mean, he's just really a very very good guy.
Yeah.
And so the other one is a female. I'm trying to remember what her name is. I'm not going to try.
Kim David.
Kim David, right.
Now, she's from Wagner County, historically kind of in the Senate, I believe more on the south side of Wagner County, going down towards Muskogee. Huge campaign war chest she had amassed. And I think she pretty much walked into the county or the corporation commission seat because of that.
That to me is two strikes right there.
Yeah, but I have here's with the 405 number. A good friend of ours reached out and said, hey, Jackson Stallings is running for first district and know nothing about him. He wants to come on the show.
They all do. We've got a few people that have called me and want to come.
Yeah. And so anyway, we'll try to work it out, as many as we can.
Next week is a little bit of break or fresh air. I invited Jim Bridenstine.
Good.
I'm tired today for some reason.
We got to get that recording right. He had a fantastic interview, and it was horrible. All the YouTube crashed.
Right. Yeah. Just make sure. Yeah, we get audio correct. Yeah. But anyway, he's working. Essentially developing a space company, a firm here in Tulsa, which is dealing with space and so forth. So he'll have a lot to say. I mean, there's some stuff that just blows my mind. There's this plutonium which only exists on the moon.
Yeah.
And he says that a teaspoon of this will power the city of Houston for a year. Wow. This stuff is so powerful. And so I'll let him explain more, but I'll just mess up things. Some of the other things he has to say.
Like he said, all these rare minerals that we're working, negotiating to have access to, Ukraine and everything, with China. He said they're rare because they're not natural to the earth. They came to us on meteors. Mm-hmm. And it just blew me away. I'm like, why wasn't I taught that?
Yeah, there's one, I don't remember the name of it right now, that we're wanting to use as an alternative to what we're using currently for space to give the propulsion we need. And the only three places where you find it, one is here in the U.S., one is China. They're the big boys in it. Mm-hmm. And then there's one other country, and I can't remember where it is exactly now. But there's three countries that have this particular mineral. And so we'll let him explain all of this. It's pretty fabulous stuff about space travel and minerals and things you need. I mean, totally blew my mind. It's different from what I had expected or understood. So we'll deal with that.
Yeah. By the way, Big 12, or actually the Big Dance, NCAA men's basketball is going on.
Tech won last night.
Tech won.
First game.
Yeah. Evidently, I think, was it 6 teams from the Big 12 made it in. And 5 of them are moving on to round 2.
Who lost? Baylor? Did Baylor lose?
BYU.
BYU got beat.
Yeah, Baylor didn't make it.
Okay. I'm sorry. It was the Baylor women that are there.
Yeah.
Okay, so BYU got eliminated.
Yeah.
By whom? It was a small team.
Actually, it was no. It was an SEC team, if I remember right. Let me just pull up the bracket here.
Was it Arkansas?
Let's see. Yeah. No, Texas.
Texas.
Yeah. Texas was the 11th rank. Remember, they had to do a play-in, right? They made the bracket of 68. They were one of those 4 teams that had to play yet another game to get in.
Texas did. I
Texas.
didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, they had a couple of 11 ranked team or 11 seeds, and then a couple of 16.
And what was
seeds.
BYU ranked?
They were ranked 6th in that quarterfinal. I mean, that regional. They're in the West Regional. They were number 6 up against number 11 Texas. Texas beat them by 8 points, 79-71. Iowa State, who I'm really pulling for, we're waiting to find out one of their starters really messed up his foot. He was in a soft cast. I mean, that happened early in the game. They still dominated. Unbelievable domination. Iowa State won 108-74.
You know, I was going to say in the Tech game, we have an injured player too. Our number 1 player, who they still go in the top 10 draft. But apparently, this is something a little different. It's related, but this company has developed a new basketball court.
Okay.
And it's glass.
Oh, the Big 12 used it for the Big 12 tournament.
Right, and one of the Tech's number 1 player injured his knee.
Yeah.
On this glass, so now nobody wants to play on this thing.
Right.
And the thing about this court, it's a cute thing because embedded in it are lights, and so they can like do advertising in the middle of the floor and put stats and things down in the floor while the game's going on.
That would be a problem if the ball's in play. You just can't.
Right. So, but that's what they want anyway. And he injured himself, and then several other players said they can't stand it because it's slippery. It's glass after all, but it's slippery, and so they don't want to play on it.
You know, current wooden basketball courts have polyurethane coatings. It's common stuff. If you got wood floors in your house, it's polyurethane. Right. I would think that a simple coat of polyurethane over that should suffice. Huh. Or if you come up with just a adhesive coating that has those same properties and textures that you can roll on, peel off, it's clear. I mean, there's got to be ways. This is too important as an ad revenue generating thing. I mean, next thing is Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
You know, or, you know, it's.
So anyway, that's the way.
By the way, of those 5 teams from the Big 12, the one who's really in trouble is TCU. They were an 8-9. They were the 9 ranked, which means they're up against Duke.
Oh.
Now, have to say, Duke had a scare. They were down 10 points to Siena.
Yeah, I saw it.
And so it is, but I don't know, when you win something like that, it has a way of bucking up your team, get them to settle down.
Yeah, I don't expect Tech to go too far. I can picture them maybe making the Elite 8, but I don't picture them going any further. And it'll be tough to make the Sweet 16. So the next game will take them to the Sweet 16 if they win one more. But if they happen to win, they're playing Alabama. That's the thing too. They're playing Alabama, so it'll be interesting. And Alabama's main player, I don't know if you heard about it, he got kicked out for this year. The NCAA has barred him from playing for a year. Yeah, I can't remember what it was. Whether I don't think it was gambling. He broke some rule. He violated something, but he's out now for the year.
My goodness. Oh, by the way, I watched last night Bill Self's Kansas Jayhawks. They were up like 26 points in the second half and almost got beat by an underdog. They barely,
Did they close too early?
Yeah, I don't. It got down to, I think, 6 points with a minute left. And so Bill Self's team did have a scare. Wow. But and that was up at California Baptist University. I'd never heard of them. Evidently, they play in the WAC. They had a successful year. I think they lost to Gonzaga. It was about their only, just not too much there. In fact, they were talking about the biggest, I forget, upsets by a WAC team. and they said this would be the biggest. Right now, the biggest upset was when Tulsa beat Dayton. Tulsa was a 13 versus a 4. And somebody, I said, I didn't know Tulsa was in the WAC. They said, yeah, Tulsa's been in Missouri Valley, WAC, Mountain. Yeah, they were never Mountain West. Conference USA.
Sunbelt.
That's ORU.
Was that ORU? Okay.
Yeah. But forever they were Missouri Valley.
Dave missed his calling. He should have been an ESPN analyst.
Well, yeah, trivia guy.
Okay, so
dumb trivia.
Can we wrap it up?
I think that's it. So next week, our plan is to have Jim Bridenstine. Tell your friends, believe me, if you are into any kind of astronomy, this is your guy. Really, Bridenstine's just brilliant. And I'm going to be bringing up about the Van Allen radiation belt because I have an update. Elon Musk sent my cousin's husband
to the radiation belt.
Yeah.
Okay.
And camped him out there for a while.
Is he growing hair out of the palm of his hand?
We're finding out. And Christy, she was the flower girl at her wedding. She says, he is not going anymore. And he says, yeah, I better stay. Because he's been Thunderbirds. He's been the Air Force version of Top Gun. He's been one of the instructors. He's done everything.
All right. So buckle up. Tell your friends. And we'll see you next week, everybody.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.